This is notes number 5, your last notes for this week. You should have the warm-up done already by the time you watch this video. This is the end of 11-4. It starts on page 665 in your book if you want to follow along. It's kind of hard to see it, but that's where it is. So there's the key concept, which you'll be copying later. So, and the explanation is right there. So feel free to look in the book and try those examples if you want a little bit of extra practice. So make sure you've always got name, date, period. You've got everything set up. And like I said, this warm up or review is reviewing for the quiz. So make sure you do the quiz and the notes on the same day that it's assigned. And you should have it done already from during class. So the notes are just a little bit. So I want to see everything on the same page. So you should have the warm up or the review up to number 8. And then pause it if you need to copy this. If you miss class, then you can finish it on your own. But here is the notes. So here are the notes. Go ahead and start copying this. So like I said on page 665, there's the explanation, but I want you to copy it as well. So today you're learning about multiplying binomials, but it's the product of a sum and difference. Remember that sum means addition, so one will have a plus, and difference means subtracting. So in one binomial, you'll see a plus, and the other binomial, you'll see a minus. So this is the shortcut. So if I ask you, what's the shortcut for product of a sum and difference? It would be a squared minus b squared. So if you have a plus b times a minus b, so the first term is the same and the second term is the same, but one has a plus, one has a minus, this is how it's going to come out to be. Whatever your first term is, square it. Whatever your second term is, square it. So here is an example. If I move too quick, you guys know, just pause and catch up and then continue. So we've got our example, x plus 2, x minus 2. One has a plus, one has a minus. It's going to be the first term squared, and it's always a minus sign in the middle. Minus the second term squared, which is a 2, and then you square it. So that comes out to be x squared minus 4. So the shortcut, a squared minus b squared, is very fast. But I do want you to understand why it works. So go ahead and copy this next part down. Why does this shortcut work? That could also be a question on the left, but I put it right here in the notes. I want you to check by distributing. Let's distribute y plus 3, y minus 3. So the other thing is you have to be able to recognize that it is a product of a sum and difference. Whereas like if you look, you can still see these problems up here. Notice that they're not the same numbers. Number 7 up here, it does have a minus and a plus, but in order to be like this type, you'd have to have 4s or just only 6s. It has to be the same number for the first and the second. First and second have to match up. All right, so let's distribute and check and see what we get when we multiply. So I would do y times y squared. Y times negative 3 is minus 3y. And then I go and distribute by this 3. So 3 times y is a plus 3y. And then 3 times negative 3 is minus 9. And then you combine like terms, CLT. What happens, and this happens every single time you have a product of a sum and difference, is negative 3y plus 3y, they cancel out. It equals 0. So then we're left with our answer, y squared minus 9, which is a squared minus b squared. So that's why this shortcut works. Again, you have to have the same exact two numbers. The first has to match with the first, and the last has to match with the last, one with a plus, one with the minus. The minus could come first. It could go minus and then plus. Let's use a box just to check. Let's make sure we understand why this works. And again, this reviews these two methods because you can always just use these two methods, distributing or using a box. We've got m minus 6. Write that one. It doesn't really matter, but I write that one on the top. And then m plus 6 on the side. And then you multiply to get the values in each square of the box. So m times m is m to the second. M times negative 6 is negative 6m. M times positive 6 is positive 6m. Negative 6 times positive 6 is negative 36. So that's the box method. I just have to combine the like terms inside the box. So I just add those together, but actually what is 6m plus negative 6m? It cancels out. And so that actually just leaves me with, I'm going to write my answer right here, m squared, and then minus 36. So you can see by using the box method, it also works out. It proves that this is correct. A squared minus b squared. M squared minus 6 squared. 6 squared is 36. All right, so pause if I moved a little quick, but that shows both ways, distributing, which is also FOIL, first outside, inside last, or using a box. It works both ways. And from now on, if you can recognize that it is a product of a sum and difference, just use the shortcut. It's a squared minus b squared. So let's go ahead and practice these 3 problems. Please pause if you need to, copy them down, give them a try. And I'm going to start going over it right now. But it's best if you pause it and try it first and then see what I get. Okay, so on this first one, I can recognize it is a product of a sum and a difference with the same first value and the same second value, x, 13, 13. So my answer will be a squared plus b squared, first one squared plus second one, or sorry, minus the second one squared. So it's x squared minus, so it's x squared minus 169. X squared and then 13 squared. All right, number 2 looks different, but I wanted to show you it's still the same shortcut. So check it and make sure, you've always got to make sure, is it a product of a sum and difference? 3c, 3c, 4, and 4. So the first match and the second one's match. One's a minus, one's a plus. So my answer would be, I have to do 3c squared and then minus 4 squared. I'm just going to write the answer here though. So 3c squared, remember distribute the squared to the 3 and the c. So it's 9c squared minus 4 squared is 16. So that's how you do that one. And number 3, I'll write the answer below. So it's 10 plus y times 10 minus y. 10, 10, y, y, one has a plus, one has a minus. It's a product of a sum and difference. So I just have to do 10 squared minus y squared. 10 squared is 100 minus y squared is y squared. And you can leave your answer like this. Notice it is not in standard form. Another acceptable answer would be negative y squared plus 100 because that is standard form. But since the binomials are written with the 10 first, it is acceptable to keep your answer that way. Either answer should count as correct. Like if you have Math Excel or something, it should count that as correct. Okay, so that is it for the notes. You need to pay attention. You need to write your 3 questions on the left. You need to have your 3-sentence summary. And then you need to turn these notes into Google Classroom. So make sure you get that finished today or tomorrow. Try to finish that within 2 days. Again, 3 questions on the left and a 3-sentence summary. Also, make sure you did your Math Excel quiz and make sure you did the best you can do.